This time on the Adventures of Tarka, I tried sailing without any wind, and then with too much wind. I had explored a new island with new friends, and I discovered the most amazing place in all of the Eastern Caribbean. Last time, I bid farewell to Alex and Annetta, along with their little boat that had been Tarka's trusty sailing buddy, leaving me to sail alone to St. Lucia. Though St. Lucia was one of the most beautiful places I have been, the march south had to continue. And the longer I stayed north, the more I was flirting with trouble. The next passage was going to be a little different, though. So far, I have been very lucky to be mostly island hopping, but recent incidents gave me some apprehension about stopping at the next island, especially without my buddy boat. Thus, the plan was to skip St. Vincent entirely and make landfall in Bequia, an island that is still part of St. Vincent, but doesn't have the troubled reputation of its parent island. This meant that a long sail was in order, so I left well before dawn in hopes of making a before sunset arrival in Bequia. But let's back up a second. On a recent rather rough passage, my masthead light was damaged, and I lost function of my navigation lights. This hasn't really been a problem as all my sailing since Montserrat has been during daytime hours. So, between the pitons, I attempted a fix with a climb of the mast, but was ultimately unsuccessful. Instead, I jerry-rigged a temporary navigation light to the bow, and hoisted a light up the rigging for added visibility. Though technically not regulation, at least it gave me some hope that I wouldn't be run down by anyone. In spite of my early departure, I soon realized that there wasn't going to be enough wind to give me a before dark arrival in Bequia. I think that recent tropical storm took the trade winds with it, and I was left becalmed. So I was forced to use the engine. Now, Tarka already isn't a fast boat. She's definitely not fast under power. Worse yet, I soon discovered that the engine was overheating if I pushed it even a little bit beyond half throttle. With a crippled engine and a flopping sail, progress was painfully slow, and I began to worry. Anchoring off of St. Vincent was an option, as was heaving too, but neither were really all that appealing. Fortunately, with only a few hours of sun remaining, I reached the southern end of St. Vincent, and the wind finally kicked in. I hoisted a full main, shut off the engine, and pointed to Bequia. However, a strong current between the islands made it hard work. In the end, though, I won, or more likely, the current relaxed and let me make progress upwind. Once in Bequia, the first task, as always, was to hop in and check the anchor. Looks pretty good to me. Now, time to get some sleep. Bequia is a small island and is part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Bequia is also popular among sailing vessels and caters to such. And look, it's even got a Pizza Hut. I also had to address the overheating engine. Previously I had replaced the raw water impeller, but that hadn't seemed to solve the problem. I opened up the backplate on the heat exchanger and discovered a large amount of calcium buildup. This was likely the culprit, but it wasn't an issue I could address at the moment, so it would have to wait. This is one of the realities to living on a boat. You can't always solve your problems, but you always have to live with them. Speaking of which, this was also the moment my toilet broke, and I began to employ a less luxurious bucket approach to doing my business. But hey, this is just part of the price we pay for paradise. You know, I was actually pretty lucky, because here in Bequia, I bumped into my friends Mike and Megan, who live on a pirate ship named Tanagra. I met the two in Dominica a few weeks back while attempting to rescue another boat in the middle of the night, and they're also the ones that gave me access to the showers in St. Lucia. But I haven't seen them since. Mike and Megan made for some great exploring buddies, and we did a bit of hiking around the island. They also invited me over to their boat for a cocktail, which is the only time I've used this hand-operated blender so far. And we chilled out and shared some stories. Yeah, okay, life isn't so bad out here. Next day we took their much faster dinghy out for a spectating session, which is basically lazy snorkeling where you get pulled behind a dinghy with a plastic wing that lets you control your movement, kind of, through the water. It was fun, but we also got rained on, which was actually a good thing since it washed all the salt away. The next day we set off together for the place that I have been looking forward to the most, the Tobago Cays. With the sails up, I began the short passage through the Grenadines, not exactly at a blistering pace. Somehow, I also managed to hit every squall along the way. Navigating the reefs in the Tobago Cays wasn't too challenging. My charts are accurate, and the color of the water very clearly indicates the shallows. It was getting late when I arrived, and first things first, get the boat tidied up and check on the anchor. I think I'm starting to sound a bit like a broken record. Looks like this little guy is going to keep an eye on the anchor for me. The next morning I was slow getting out of bed.
How much time is left exactly?
Under 3 minutes.
Sir, you're gonna have to open up the bomb and deactivate.
When I finally did peek out the hatch, the water here is really unlike anywhere else I have ever been. It's beautiful. I'm thankful for this coral reef, as it's the only thing that separates Tarka and I from the Atlantic Ocean. Tarka and I were in a paradise unlike any other, and I'm happy to have Tanagra not too far away. Man, what a place. While flying my drone, I spotted a cut in the barrier reef, and we were eager to explore the outer reefs. So, we took Tanagra's dinghy on a mission. We successfully navigated the cut and anchored in some sand next to its outer reef. These protected waters also provide a perfect home for green sea turtles. I was really hoping to see some sharks, but no such luck. At least there were examples of healthy coral, but like most reefs in the Caribbean, these too are in decline. On the way back, we stopped at a tiny island that we had all to ourselves. Mike was kind enough to shimmy up a tree with a machete and make it rain coconuts. We then herded them back to the dinghy for later use. We closed out the day of adventure with Sundowners aboard Tobago.
He's like, if you're gonna go out to sea, this is what you need to watch. Friggin' Dead Calm is one. Dead Calm's on there. Like, really?
Oh no!
And like The Deep and
your dad's a sailor, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's also insane.
How is it?
Good. Good. I've done worse.
This is a solid team effort.
The Tobago Keys are unlike anywhere else in the Caribbean. They are spectacular in every way, and it was very hard to leave them behind. But after several days of paradise, I had to press onward. Tanagra took the lead, and our two boats sailed south with only our jennies out. I think we were still feeling a bit lazy from our tropical chill out, and let's face it, the mainsail is just way too much work. We stopped briefly at Union Island to officially check out St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and pushed on to Curiacou, part of Grenada. One more passage awaits, and then Tarka and I will have completed the first major milestone of our voyage, and we will begin making preparations for more serious offshore sailing. But that story will have to wait until next time.